Can you state your name, age, and birthday for the camera, please?
Rajesh, June 21st, 1970, 49 years old.
And how are you related to me?
I'm your dad.
Thanks. Okay, so first event, 9/11. Can you tell me about what you remember when this event took place? So, where were you, and were there any other people surrounding you, etc.?
Yeah, my wife and I just moved to Canada in July 2001, and we were watching it on the news. So it was quite scary and quite concerning that something like this had actually happened. Having had a chance to go to the World Trade Center as a child, it was a little disappointing to see the events unfold on the TV.
What thoughts were running through your mind as you watched this happen live?
Horror, disgust, empathy for the people that were actually there trying to scramble away from the falling debris and fire and everything else that was going on and the chaos that was unfolding. It was a very, very disheartening thing to watch on TV.
Can you tell me about the ways that the aftermath of this tragedy affected you personally?
I think after the 9/11 incident, a lot of people realized that this was being done by Muslims, and I guess most of North Americans painted everybody under one big brush with one big umbrella of everybody was on the same kind of Muslim. So if you're a Muslim or you're Southeast Asian or Indian, you were all clubbed as one. There was a certain amount of bias that people felt towards you as a community.
So you were not born in Canada, correct?
That's right.
That means you took part in the Canadian citizenship ceremony?
Yes.
So where did this ceremony take place for you, and in what year?
This ceremony took place for myself and my wife in 2003. This was held in a local church just off of Walsh Street in town.
Describe the whole process and how it made you feel.
Well, we got a letter in the mail, I guess, a few weeks prior to the actual ceremony, and it was a proud moment because the whole immigration process, which culminated to a citizenship process, took about 6 or 7 years. It was nice to see different members of different parts of the world coming together, trying to get their certification, as it were. And it was a very proud moment, the fact that we had actually been able to achieve something that we had set out to do so many years ago.
Was this event a turning point for you to feel truly Canadian, or was it all like a culminating of all the prior events, plus the ceremony that made you feel truly Canadian?
Well, I think it was a bit of both. I mean, obviously, like I said, we were working towards our citizenship for about 6 or 7 years prior to that. Having achieved the citizenship was a milestone. But also the fact that now being a citizen, you were able to do much more, like voting, for example, which we weren't able to do as permanent residents, and a few other things that you could do only as a citizen.
Okay. So once you became a citizen, you now had the right to legally vote in Canada. So what was the year that you first voted in?
2004.
Was that here in Thunder Bay or elsewhere in Canada?
It was in Thunder Bay.
Can you describe the process a bit to me of the voting?
The voting process for us was quite new because the voting process in India is quite different. But here it was a whole new process, getting to know the different candidates that were standing for elections in both federal and provincial elections at that time. So just understanding how we were able to play an active role in being the voice for members of the community that we want to make sure that those were elected. So that process was a learning, but it was a good process and something that we were looking forward to.
What were you thinking at this time? So was it a proud moment for you or a milestone moment?
Oh, it was definitely a proud moment because, like I said, we had just become citizens and now we were able to vote. So being able to voice our opinion on who we wanted elected, being involved with other community activities, and obviously making sure that we were an integral member of the community. So I think it was a good process.
One of the things that you said was important to you was the tsunami. So can you tell me the place and the date that it took place?
The tsunami happened, the one that I'm talking about was in Banda Aceh, which is in Indonesia. It happened on Christmas Day, Boxing Day, 2004.
Do you have any distinct memories of watching this event on the news?
Yes, I did, and we were watching the news just like anybody would, and it just suddenly came on. Lots of people were actually video recording them on their phones, and just the transition of events from actually watching the waves come into the land and wipe out a whole lot of stuff was quite devastating to watch.
So this tsunami took place in another country. So why is this significant to you as a Canadian?
But I think it's significant only because it affected my place of birth in that sense. So in addition to affecting India, it also affected Malaysia, Thailand, and Sri Lanka as well. So that part of the world was where we are more familiar with. But I think more relevant to how it affects me now as being a Canadian is that the Canadian Red Cross spent almost were able to generate almost $360 million worth of funding to restructure, those countries that were affected. And it was nice to see that being part of a country that was able to give back to other, less fortunate countries or somebody that had actually gone through some significant trauma. It was nice to see that you were part of that country that can give back.
What do you remember with the forming of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission?
Well, my wife and I were not really aware of something like this, and I guess when it came on the news in about 2008 when the commission was first formed, it was interesting to see that there was something like this that actually had happened way back when in Canada.
Before coming to Canada, did you have any idea of the horrors of residential schools?
No, we had no idea it was something like this that actually happened here.
Did you understand the purpose and importance of the commission?
Well, I think we did. I mean, as the commission was formulated to make sure that all the minor atrocities or the whitewashing of another culture were evident in previous years, I think it was important to bring that to light, and for people that were not aware of it to know exactly what happened and what remedies need to be in place now to move forward as a country, so that different communities are not affected by another community's wrongdoing in that sense.
How did it make you feel to be a Canadian once you had learned about these past events?
A little disappointing, because not something that you would expect to see in a developed country like Canada. Obviously more prominent in less developed countries, but like I said, a little disheartening initially, but at least so it was a little disheartening because we were in a developed country and we didn't think that these things were happening or happened in a developed country. It was easier to see this in a less developed country. But the fact that remedies were in place and the country was moving forward to making sure that they were able to right the wrongs that were done was reassuring again as a Canadian citizen.
So for the last, not significant event, but significant person, so you put down Naheed Nenshi. Can you tell me who this man was?
Naheed Nenshi was the first elected mayor, Muslim mayor in Canada.
Do you remember exactly where he was the mayor of?
He was mayor of Calgary, and he got elected first in 2010.
Even though a Muslim man had become mayor, why was he significant to you, a non-Muslim?
Well, I think it's important to understand that, as a non-Caucasian member in Canada, it's important to see how different communities, have their struggles. However, having had him elected to a mayoral candidate, there was important to see that different communities were being encouraged to participate in an election. And I think it gave other communities a chance to see what Muslims are capable of doing, so the good and sometimes not so good too. So I think it was encouraging to see that they were able to elect a non-Caucasian or non-white mayor.
How do you think his election had an impact to racism in Canada, Calgary in specific?
I think like I said, it opened up a lot of opportunities for the Muslim community to kind of be active members of society, and to be contributing members of society. And I think it's important to understand that the Calgarians realize that somebody that is qualified, doesn't matter whether he's white or non-white or dark skin, whatever the color of your skin, it doesn't really matter. I think if you're qualified as a candidate, I think it's important to vote for that candidate if he or she is going to make that difference.